record to the cloud. This is being recorded. You should probably see a pop-up. It will also be posted on YouTube, but only people that share out after the breakout rooms or speak up during discussions will be on the recording. All right. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Shauna Broker, Division D Director, and I am hosting today's club officer training for treasurer. Our trainer today is Jim Heeren. He's DTM, and he's from he moved to Birch Bay, Washington in December of 2019. Yep, right before the pandemic. And he brought his 39 years of Toastmasters experience. He's served as District 45 Governor and Region 7 Advisor. He believes that quality clubs attract new members, and an effective treasurer helps the club achieve its mission and goals. Jim joined Kenya Kwanzaa Toastmasters in 1982 and has served as District 45 Governor in 95 and 96, and then Region 7 Advisor in 2011-2012. He's received the President's Citation in 2016 from Jim Kokoski, DTM, PIP in Washington, D.C. When he's not fixing up his house, Jim dreams of becoming a professional speaker, speaking to motivate others to discover their own unique gifts. Jim will be serving as VP of PR for Northwest Advanced Speakers and Seattle 10 International during the 21 and 22 program year. Jim is also the chair of the past Region Advisor Council this year. He enjoys photography and sailing in his free time. And before I hand it over to him, I want to welcome all of you, Toastmasters, distinguished guests, past and present Toastmasters royalty. Welcome to the training today. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Jim.
Let's get off mute. Thank you, Shauna. Well, I'll let everyone know I've never had an audience of 47 for my treasurer training before. So maybe the word must be getting around about what a hot treasurer trainer I am. Or maybe it's just because it's counting down to the last moment to get training credit and you wanted to fit this in. But in either case, I hope to be entertaining, and I hope that you will learn a lot about being the treasurer. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get right into the content. I trust you see the treasurer page. Good, that's always a good sign. So in today's meeting, we're going to have an agenda with a discussion of the role of the treasurer, the responsibilities, and the resources that are readily available for you to complete your job as treasurer. And so our objective is that you'll go away thinking that you understand what the treasurer does and how to be very effective. And of course, we want to fulfill our responsibilities, because when money doesn't move, people get unhappy. And so hopefully you'll have resources at the end that you can refer to help you along the way. So the treasurer role. I am going to give you a chance to work amongst yourselves to talk about the mission of the treasurer, but basically, just to give you the initial outline, the treasurer reminds members to pay their dues and collects the dues. They collect money for new members. They may actually process the applications, and they pay Toastmasters International. Now, with all those things in mind, we're going to go right into a breakout room. And I want you to think about the mission of a club. The mission of a club, of course, is to be a safe, friendly place to improve your communication skills And how does the role of the treasurer help the club meet its mission? So with that, Shauna, could you send our group to their breakout rooms?
I restarted the recording.
Yes, Linda's amazing.
Oh, did I do it?
I think so.
No, I did.
Oh, then Tina's amazing. You're both amazing. All right, good to see people back. Welcome back.
At least 12 are back. We've still got another 30 seconds waiting on the rest of them.
Nineteen, 20, 21.
Looks like they're all back now.
Okay, everyone, I hope you had a good time in your breakout sessions. Now let's report back. Now, because we're such a large group, we're going to hear from 4 breakout rooms. And so let's start with breakout room 1. How does the treasurer responsibilities meet the club mission? Who is up from group 1?
I'm not sure anybody knows what breakout room they were
Yeah,
in.
I don't know what breakout room was in.
Okay, it was made up of Charlene, Jason, Kiman, Maria.
So during our session, we talked about how the treasurer works closely with the membership chair to ensure that the members that their dues are paid, applications are filled, and payments are submitted and processed to Toastmasters International. And we also talked about some of the tricks as we're working in a virtual environment and have virtual applications, and how do you pay the dues through PayPal and Zelle and some of these new options. So things like that. And there was also just questions on storing documents and dealing with the PII information. So I think we kind of went off on some things that we were dealing with as a club versus the actual all of how it ties to the mission.
Okay, Charlene, that's good content. And yes, Zelle is very important, although I have a thing about PayPal, but I'll not get on that soapbox. Let's hear from room 3, which was Dottie, Michael, Reddy, or Stephen.
Does anyone else want to do the reporting from
We
room
did.
3?
We kind of did the same thing that the previous speaker talked to. We're interested in, hey, how does the PayPal or Zelle or whatever it is work in this new environment so that we can pay our bills? We know that people can also get permission to go straight into international and pay their international dues there. So what we would like to get from the training today is exactly how does that work? Do we need to set up accounts and things of that nature? That's what we talked about.
Well,
Perfect.
yeah, that's a good question. And I think just like always, there's a bank account for the club. And with Zelle or PayPal, you can directly transfer from your members to your club account. And then you would use a club debit card or credit card to pay at International. That is how normally I think it works, pretty much.
Right, okay, but what's the steps that you do for transferring a person's PayPal information to your account within your club?
Jim, I can maybe talk to this because I actually did it for one of the clubs that I helped start. And what you need to do when you set up a PayPal account, you have to have like a Gmail account or some email account for the club other than the Toastmasters assigned one, so that you can set up a club PayPal account. And then when you do that, you're going to attach the bank information. It'll ask you for your routing number and checking number, and you're going to give that to PayPal. And when somebody makes a payment to you through PayPal, it'll go directly into your bank account for the club. And then once the money is in there, and do remember there are fees. So you'll need them to pay an extra $2 because of the fees associated with that. But once the money goes into the bank account, then you can use your debit card to pay them on Toastmasters International. Does that help?
Yes, that's exactly the information we wanted. So from what the feedback I'd give you, Tina, is that one, well, we do have an email location. We usually, it's our president or treasurer or something.org, our group. We need to set up an account with PayPal. And I assume any other organization that does this kind of a thing. So we got to get a hold of them. We set up an account. We give them our routing number and our account number from our bank. And then it is pretty much seamless. Then if somebody goes in and pays through their PayPal account, it then automatically goes to our account that's been set up ahead of time. And then, of course, after that, once we correlate all of that, we can go ahead and pay international with our credit card. And I understand there's like a 3% charge or something like that. Okay.
Yes. One thing you need to be careful of is using your club president's email or something. If they have their own PayPal account, it won't let you use that email address again. So that's why I set up the club is Shine and Rise. I set up a shineandrise@gmail.com.
Okay.
So that I could use that specific email account and not have it mixed up with mine. And then one of the steps that you need to do once the money goes into PayPal, you actually have to go into PayPal and say, transfer it over. So, I mean, it doesn't automatically go, you have to tell it to transfer over, but
Okay.
then it goes directly.
So occasionally you would go into your account and you would see something that says basically pending or something that nature. And then you would go and click on it and you say, okay, transfer this to our account. And you would walk through the steps of doing that.
Yes, and it's pretty easy.
All right. Thank you, Tina.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Tina, because I had never done that. But I can tell you this, when I paid my membership dues to my club using PayPal and my debit card, I think I chose the debit card to reduce the PayPal fee. And then my bank awarded me a $10 charge for a cash advance. So I spent $10 on something like a $45 dues, which impressed me. Do we have a question from Deborah?
This is Jim Ramalia. I have a comment on the subject. What I did was set up a Wave app account. Wave is a Google company and does processing like Square or possibly PayPal, but you don't have to be a member of PayPal or anything like that. When I send an invoice, the member gets a form, puts in their credit card number and information. That goes to Wave app. I never see it. And Wave app automatically transfers the money into our bank account. So it's all pretty seamless. And when I bill, I add, I think it's 3% onto whatever we bill. And members, if they didn't want to pay the 3%, they could send a check, but it's pretty seamless. And it's Wave, W-A-V-E app.
Are there any other questions?
Oh, just a comment. We talked, I've heard of PayPal, and that's the only one I know of. So now we've got Wave app, we've got Zella, we've got probably half a dozen other of these types of funds transfers thing. Yes, no club is going to set up 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever accounts with all these different outfits. I think Toastmasters International needs to give us a system that we can go through them to do this rather than having to fiddle around with all these other apps and so forth. Dennis, you're on this line. What's
Yeah,
your opinion?
I'm going to talk about what we discussed in our group.
Thanks.
The challenge was that I'm in an advanced group and the other two ladies were in corporate groups. So there's an entirely different environment. Our biggest challenge with the advanced group is one, transferring the, when you have a new treasurer, transferring the ownership to another person. And it's a god-awful nightmare working with BECU to try to get it changed. That took me about 6 months. And finally, Mike and I had to go to sit in with the at the main office and get it done. Incredible. But what we do, we have an existing PayPal account. So I basically send the invoices out by PayPal, and then I'm notified, and then I link it to our Club BECU account, then I transfer the money. Then when it's time to pay the dues, I go online and use the debit card that I have. The problem is the debit card has to be in a person's name. It can't be in the club's name. So whenever you change treasurers, the new treasurer has to get the new debit card. And so it makes it harder to change. I mean, you're more likely just to kind of let it go and just keep the same. Our group is an old group. And so it's been around for what, 30, 35 years. Is that right, Mike?
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that anyway. So we don't have a lot of turnover. We have a lot of, our problem is our demographics for an old club. But what we do is we got a new Zoom account and we got it in the club's name. And I created an account. I first name TME, last name Toastmaster for the owner of the account. And so I've set up so that they will take the money out of our bank account directly. So we use the bank account, we use the PayPal account for the collecting the dues and transferring the dues to the bank account. And we use our debit card, direct bank account, for paying Toastmasters and also for charging the account. I think I'm using PayPal for the charge, but it goes directly to our bank account. So, but our challenge is we meet once a month and we pay dues once a year. And then it's the treasurer's responsibility to pay the first half and pay the second half. And I think our unofficial policy is if someone drops out before the second half dues are paid, we'll refund them the dues, but they have to ask for it. But after the second dues are paid, then it's tough luck.
Okay, folks, we're going to have to move on. Thank you, Dennis and Michael, for all those insights. So next, we're going to talk a little bit about treasury responsibilities that occur during the meeting, outside the meeting, and during the club executive. And so the club meeting has before and during activity. And the idea is that at least quarterly, I recommend that you prepare a financial report to the club to let them know a list of the expenses and the income and what your bank balance is. And then during club meetings, it's a time when you can collect membership dues when you're actually in person, and to report on club finances during the business meeting. But most of the activity takes place outside the club meeting. And that at the beginning of the year, it's a good practice to prepare a budget so that you know what your planned income is going to be and where the outflow is going to be. Of course, this activity with the bank and signatory card is always something that trips us up. I'm experiencing my own story right now with the fact that the bank is in Canada and I'm in the United States. Collecting and paying dues is one of your activities, and paying dues is actually one of the easiest things that I do. The submitting new member applications, that's become a lot easier, but you need to remember to save your member applications and pass them on as a club resource. Then to pay for the club expenses that are approved by your executive and to keep your financial records. And so outside the club meeting again is the financial reports that would be submitted to the club executive, to have your club accounts audited at the end of the year, and to continuously reconciling your deposits and expenditures, just like any other bank account. Luckily, we're not in California where ensuring club meets government tax regulations is a problem, but you'll get banking papers probably at your home address once everything's turned over. And of course, you'll prepare for the audit committee. So at the executive committee, you'll have a budget prepared, you'll present the reports, and you'll work on the club success plan, at least with the things that your club plans to do, that you're going to spend money on it. You should have an idea what you're spending money on at the beginning of the year. So how to fulfill the treasurer responsibilities. Those are how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, who you're going to do it, and what's going to be done. And I recommend that you have a treasurer responsibility action plan so that you think in advance of the things we've spoken about. How will you fulfill the responsibility going through the process of getting your debit card, and setting some targets for yourself so that you know when you're going to be completing these things. Also, teams in Toastmasters are important, and who in your club can help you out, and what are the materials and resources that you can use. The club leadership guide is essential with a lot of the basic information, and that has references to other treasurer materials that are available on toastmasters.org. So what are the treasurer's resources? First of all, you attend training like today, that you read the materials. It's important to meet with the outgoing executive committee and especially the outgoing treasurer. I've been in a fix this month because I'm the interim treasurer, and our incoming treasurer, who had just started getting used to her position, but hadn't actually gone through all the activities, had to go out of town to tend to her seriously ill mom. And so we're sort of in a lurch. So, I mean, that can happen. And so meeting with your current executive, the review policies and protocol. There's some interesting tidbits in the governing documents on toastmasters.org. And that is things like your club is not allowed to buy or lease cell phones. It is also not allowed to own real estate, and it's not allowed to own a car. And how that actually had to get in the governing documents, I'll never know. And so finally, also to prepare the budget. So we've been through a lot of this. Here's some of the resources that you have, but we'd like to switch PowerPoint decks right now. Shauna, you've got that one ready to go so that you can share your screen?
I do. All right. Hopefully everyone can see it.
So what you see here is I've taken some important resources for me and kept them in the cloud on this Google Drive at that reference point. And we'll try to get this reference to you so you can access them. And so if you go to the next slide, Shauna. The financial statement we spoke of is a list of income, a list of expenses, and your cash balance in your savings account. And so that is a typical financial statement you could put together for your club. Next slide. Your budget by month can take many different forms, but here's an operating budget for the month of July for this club. And you'll see that you have your revenues and expenses, and you have potential petty cash transactions. And so you keep track of your money coming in as revenues and your money going out as expenses. Let's go to the next slide. This is a roll up of the monthly amounts to an annual budgeted budget. Next slide. This is a letter that one of my old clubs put together. It is something that you would hand your new members, and also as the person talking to a prospective member, you can very clearly show them what the expenses are for being a member of your club by having, something set up in advance. And because it's not always VP of membership or the treasurer or the secretary that will be speaking to a prospective member, another member can get up to speed very quickly on what the expenses are. Next slide. This is the time of year when we start paying dues. And so having an email form as to the collection of dues is helpful. And so whether you use this one or make up another one to remind your members to pay dues, it's good to have that. Next slide. Now, Davin is one heck of a treasurer, and he will send follow-ups and follow-ups until you pay. You don't get away from Davin. And I recommend that you send your follow-ups often too. Next slide. In Club Central is the place where you submit payments. And so you'll go to the tile, submit payment. Next slide. And then you'll see this screen where you'll see your members and you'll see the amount due for dues. And you'll click on Add to Cart when you're paying at Toastmasters. And finally, at the end, next slide, you'll get a summary of how much money is being paid. Next slide. And you'll put in your payment information from your club onto this form and submit the payment, and your dues are paid. 1, 2, 3. And you may go another step. And once you've received the dues from your members, you can send them a dues receipt. Next slide. And that, my friends, is pretty much treasurer training. That if you know what you have to do, you've got the club leadership officers manual that will have more of the detailed information. And if you travel out to that cloud address, you'll have those examples that you can use and adapt for your own purposes. Are there any questions before I turn things back over to our division director?
I do have a question. My name is Jana Ward of ST Sound Speakers in Seattle, and we're a corporate club, so it's very easy to use our purchase card. I might have missed it. Is there a select all feature, because it's easy enough for just paying everybody's at the same time?
I don't know, but I think you just need to click on all the people that you're submitting a payment for one by one, and then they all accumulate together, and then you pay it off all at once.
All right, take a few minutes, but okay, thank you.
Yeah, I
Well,
believe that you just hit on add to cart for each one and then it puts it all together.
Right.
I wanted to ask about the audit. Yael Weiss from the Blaine Birch Bay Club. I guess we're neighbors, Jim. So you mentioned audits. Is this something that's routinely done, or do we get an advance notice? It's my first time doing it, so.
Truly, the club should manage itself by self-governance, and so the treasurer should suggest that it's time to audit the books.
Oh, so it's an internal audit, not an
It is an
external
internal audit,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
And one day I'll get to the Birch Bay Club, but the Blaine Club, but unfortunately I have a meeting on that night. So I'll make it someday. Any other
Missing all the
questions?
fun.
With our club, every time we have an officers meeting, executive meeting, we have an audit at that same time. So it happened about every other month.
Okay, any other comments? Well, I hope the training today was helpful. I've managed to keep us on time. And with that said, I'm going to return control to our Division D Director, Shauna Brooker. Please welcome back, Shauna.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much for being here and leading this training. The fun is not over yet. I'm going to post a survey link in the chat. Please take just a few minutes. We're going to give you 3 minutes to fill it out now. And then once you're done, come back, comment in the chat, either done or tell me your favorite dessert, so we know you're back and you're done. And then I will turn it over to our 2/3 of our district trio for announcements. We've got 3 minutes. It's a really easy survey.
How do we get to the survey again?
In the chat, I put in the link.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
For those of us on the phone, how can we get the link?
There, Tina or Linda, do you know if you can access the chat through the Zoom app on the phone?
No, but we can email it to them later.
Okay.
Shauna, if you just want to take a note of who needs that, and then from your participant list, you should have their email. You can email it to them.
Absolutely. So Indu, I'll make a note that I'll email it to you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want it emailed? Got some dones. I like it. Ice cream. Thank you, Jason. Tiramisu, yes, and chocolate. I knew this was a good group. Anything chocolate, cashews. Nice, nice. Can resonate with all of that. All right, gonna give it another minute. Everyone's coming back. Oh, Sarah, brownies, yes. Apple crisp, yes. Good choice, Jim. S'mores, yes. I love s'mores. All right, it's 12:55, feeling alive. I'm going to turn it over to Tina and Linda for announcements.
Thank you, Shauna. Jim, great job. Thank you so much for taking on this treasure training. As always, you are such the professional, and I very much appreciate you. Announcements. Well, the only real announcement that I have two. How many of you know that the convention is happening next week? I'm so excited. I hope you're excited. I hope you're going to at least watch some of it. It's really a treat. I did the one last year and really enjoyed it. So if you can, get in and enjoy some of the convention time. The other announcement that I want to make is about club officer trainings. We have 2 more in this round of trainings. That means there are 2 more opportunities for your clubs to achieve Super 7. Yes, we're going all the way to the end with our Super 7. If you go back to your clubs and find out which officers haven't attended training yet, and after the week after the convention, we have 2 available. Check out the d2tm.org website for those dates and have them register so your club can get Super 7. It's super easy this time. And I know that Linda has some fantastic announcements as well. So Linda.
I do. Thank you, Tina. I'm Linda Forthman, the Club Growth Director for District 2. And very briefly, if you have 20 people in your life, maybe you've got a big family, maybe you've got 20 friends, maybe you've got an office and you've got 20 people, you can start your own club. But the good news is that if you start it between now and the end of September, and you have 2 sponsors, 2 mentors, 20 people, you will get $200 District 2 dollars to pay for any initial expenses. There's a list on the website of exactly which expenses are included. And contact me if you need any help. I'm here to support everyone. Back to you, Shauna.
Thank you, Linda and Tina. And thank you everyone for attending the treasurer training today. You did it. You're done. You don't have to attend anymore. Hopefully the rest of the officers in your club are following suit and get everyone to Super 7. I know that's always a goal in our club. And with that, I'm going to give you all back 3 minutes of your day. It's nice and sunny out, so maybe you can take some fresh air. If you need the link to the survey emailed to you, let me know. I'm going to stick around for a few minutes, and we'll see you all next time and hopefully at the convention. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.